Damn, it's 10:06. What's up, y'all? We are talking about the fragility of white supremacy slash racism. You know, it's a lot of brothers out there who say, I'm not going to call it white supremacy, I'm going to call it white fragility. And I get where they're coming from. But I come from the school of Needy Fuller and Dr. Welsing. And I believe in calling things as they are, not as we wish them to be. And the reason why I use the term white supremacy is to remind people of the socio-economic and political position that they've been placed in for those classified as white. People classified as white having the supreme position. That's what white supremacy talks about. It's not saying that they're better than you. It's not saying that they're supreme over you individually. It's saying that this is a system that those classified as white have the inherent position, upper position over those classified as non-white. Like what Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln said, it is the United States' position to guarantee the supreme position of whiteness. And Charlie Kirk, when he did what he did, when he would go around talking about black people are affirmative action hires, and he was talking about they're not qualified and don't have the brain power, that was Charlie Kirk showing his white supremacy. Because in his mind, what people classified as white deserved automatically the supreme position. And if somebody non-white got that position, then there must be some sort of failure of the system. It does not mean that that non-white person is better. It means somewhere along the way the system failed. So that's what it comes down to. So we about to break that down, and we're going to break down the fragility of it. And this past week, they have been cracking. It's been a lot going on. It's a lot of things going on within their movements that we have to talk about and exploit and talk about here. Like the Goipers movement and all that stuff. So with that being said, what's up, everybody? What's up, Queen FBA, Easy Beats, FBA Journal, DSM, Riri, Fila Speaks, Gerald, Charmaine, Fly Girl, Mr. Borshock, Elicino in this motherfucker. What's up, everybody? If I didn't say your name, it's probably because I skipped past it by accident. But I want to start this day off, or this show off, broadcast off, by saying happy birthday to my wife's dad, Mr. James Carmichael, super music producer extraordinaire. I've been playing his music all day, Jackson 5, and the Commodores, and Atlantic Star, and Gladys Knight, and Marvin Gaye, and on and on and on and on. One of the greatest music producers to ever walk the planet. 84 years young today. Well, as of September 14th. Tomorrow, September 15th, when a couple hours, if you're on the East Coast, it's already September 15th. For that date, happy birthday, Cannonball Adderley. One of the greatest saxophonists of all time. So let's get into it. Well, got some Sade on. Love is stronger than pride. God damn it. I won't pretend I'm good at forgiving. I'm sorry, it's my shit. But I can't hate you, although I have tried. I'm sorry about that. When Sade come on, sometimes I get in the spirit. My bad, I can't sing. Love is stronger than pride. This song is some real shit. I still really, really love you. Ooh. Quick announcement before we get started. On Patreon. We got some new stuff up. But I am moving my courses to Patreon later this week. I'm going to create a new tier. That's going to either be $30 or $35 a month. And I'm going to put my lectures up, my classes that I do, where I have full on notes, slides. It is far more detailed than what we have here on YouTube. I'm going to be putting those up on a new tier on Patreon. Everyone on that $25 a month tier, you will be grandfathered in. So if I were you, I'm giving y'all a warning right now. If I were you, I would sign up for that $25 tier now so that you can be grandfathered in to that tier. Because it's going to be a little more expensive if you don't sign up for it right now. So I'm giving y'all a warning right now. It's either going to be $30 or $35 a month. But if you get the $25 a month tier now, you will be grandfathered in. And that will be your price. Unless you cancel. If you cancel, you're going to come back in at the higher price. All right? So let's get into it. The fragility of white supremacy. I don't know if y'all been noticing it and seeing it, but they have been firing people all week for anti, quote unquote, Charlie Kirk posts. People, the system has allowed Charlie Kirk to lie. Lie with stats, lie with propaganda, lie with easily debunkable things if he's questioned. So what he would do as a 30-year-old man would be he would go to college campuses to argue with students with no real life experiences that didn't really know what questions to ask. That's why he would pick on kids. And America supported it. He would bring out all of his stats and talk about how gang violence is this and gang violence is that. But he would, if faced the right question, he couldn't stand up. So yes, my mods are on it. Hey, him, you say he was debating adults. Well, if he was debating adults, there will be adults as stupid as you, okay? See, people, the thing is, most Americans are stupid. Even the college graduates. I would go so far as to say 80 to 85% of Americans just aren't sharp like that. Just not. And that's by design because after 69, when Nixon got in office back in 68, 69, he and Henry Kissinger went about dismantling the education system in America because before 1970, America was the smartest nation on the planet. But the Americans' protest of the Vietnam War is what made America pull back on educating its citizenry. And starting with removing the vocations out of the schools and music out of the schools in the late 60s into the early 70s, that started the slow decline of American education. So what happens is you got a lot of people that don't know anything about anything, that if you get someone that's articulate, they'll believe them. If they're articulate and white, people will believe them. You need to be articulate and you need to be white. If you're articulate and white, people believe you. So Charlie Kirk would throw out crime statistics that were unqualified, wouldn't qualify the stats. One way you can disqualify people who throw out crime stats is to tell them that flat out, first off, stats are not mandated by the FBI. Whatever's turned into the FBI is voluntary. Okay? So you don't get the full picture of the statistics. And also, they cherry pick which statistics to use. And that works when you're working and when you're doing that against people who don't know how to ask the right questions of statistics, that don't know how to qualify statistics, people that don't know the difference between mean, mode, and median, and don't understand how range affects the mean, mode, and median. So he was allowed to spread these lies and be extremely racist and say offensive things about people. Like he said, okay, he just will automatically say people aren't qualified. Like Ketanji Jackson Brown, I don't like her. I think she ain't shit. But Charlie Kirk was not qualified to say that she's not, doesn't have the mental qualifications. He could say that I disagree with her politics, but he wasn't qualified to say she doesn't have the mental capacity to be a Supreme Court judge, given the fact that she passed the state bar. And how he would lie to his people constituency would say that she was a Ketanji Jackson Brown was a affirmative action college admitted person. Yeah, affirmative action can definitely get people indoors, but your skill and your ability to do what you do is what gets you through the door as far as graduating and finishing. There's no affirmative action on tests. That's the first way Charlie Kirk would lie right to your face. He would talk about him as he was a junior college dropout. Charlie Kirk didn't even qualify for a 4-year university. He was a community college dropout. So a community college dropout judging someone who finished and got their degree already and saying that they're not qualified. See, I have for you cousin fucking white people that's coming up in here trolling and mad. Unlike you, I have a college degree. And I'm 99.9% sure 100% of you trolls in here don't. So you're not qualified to troll me the same way Charlie Kirk wasn't qualified to patrol Ketanji Jackson Brown. Whatever you say about her politics, and I do not agree with her politics, because she didn't know the difference between a man and a woman. So I don't like Ketanji Jackson Brown. And Ketanji Jackson Brown look like Kanisha's mama on Lean on Me, don't she? She look like that chick Mr. Clark was trying to get a job at Miss Levias. I loves her. She don't love me no more. I loves her more than I love myself. So I'm not a Ketanji Jackson Brown fan. Every time I see her, I hear that song. And time don't wait on no one. This isn't about me liking or disliking her. It's about me saying I do not like her politics, but that woman is damn well deserving. If you pass a fucking bar to become a lawyer, you're deserving. That test hard as fuck. So, with that being said, with that being said, that's how he would lie. He would stop her qualifications at affirmative action and go around college campuses saying the same thing about Kamala Harris and these other people. If you finish, the affirmative action only gets you in the door. It doesn't help you finish. That's point number one. Point number two, about the whole situation about qualifying stats. Let's just say somebody is from California. Take me, for example. I'm 44 years old now, right? I'm 44. Do you know that I have never experienced the benefits of affirmative action? Y'all know that? California outlawed affirmative action in 1996. I was in the 10th grade in high school when affirmative action got outlawed in California. My sister got her 4-year degree, but she went to Cal State Dominguez, so it's like she didn't need affirmative action for that. But you could technically say my sister, who graduated high school in 1995, had 1 year of affirmative action, but she didn't have no affirmative action when she got her master's degree. No affirmative. So when it comes down to it, states like California, the affirmative action is illegal. So a person like Charlie Kirk will go around and see someone black and assume that they're affirmative action without telling people that, well, if that person's from California, it's impossible that they're affirmative action because affirmative action was done away with in 1996, last century, when Charlie Kirk was 3 years old. And that's how you know Charlie Kirk was a stupid, dumb motherfucker, too. No life experience. Affirmative action doesn't even exist after the age of 3 for someone who lived in California. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button because we have a lot of trolls in here, so it's very important that the non-trolls, please, please, please hit the like button because the trolls are driving the numbers up, but the likes are going to be real low. And I'm going to need y'all to leave comments when the video's over with. So even if you don't finish watching the video, when I'm done, you go to sleep, wake up in the morning, see the video, leave a comment, all right? So he said he had the old school high learning rhetoric, right? So make sure you hit that like button. We got over 550 in here, but half of them is probably trolls. So for the other 250 that's not trolling, 300 that's not trolling, make sure y'all hit like. I expect to have at least 300 likes up in this motherfucker. All right, so that's the foundation I want to set. I want to set the foundation because one thing to say, okay, Charlie Kirk was a liar. What I just did was show you how he lied. You take these 1/10 of a truth and present it as the whole story. And you qualify the same way they say we're all from Africa. Yes, some people came from Africa. Some were indigenous. Most were indigenous. But since some came from Africa, 200 years later, we all came from Africa. You see how that works? That's why taking a forensic analysis of numbers is very key and very important. If you're going to use numbers, you have to take a forensic analysis of them and ask questions. Numbers have to be beat up. They have to be put through the ringer, wrung out. You can't just take numbers for face value, okay? You Negro again said 20 some odd niggas were brought here. Shut up. That's funny. So that's the feds cut the rate. The feds cutting the rate's gonna help. Move on from that last week. So let's talk about the fragility of white supremacy. You see how they're now having these when a person like me, you, or anyone else speaks up. Look at all the white trolls that we have in here. I had to change the settings to you have to be a subscriber to comment. That's why you have some people in here that aren't commenting because they want to troll. They're sending bots in here right now to troll, but those bots aren't subscribed, so they got to kick rocks. So when it comes down to it, what they would do is me or you or anyone mentions how he lies, and those of us who were the victims of his rhetoric. And trust and believe, you are victims of his rhetoric because people heard his words And now that they're here, to look at the people that are at his rallies. It's a whole lot of non-black immigrants from India and Africa and other places, and or European immigrants that are new here, and they listen to somebody like a Charlie Kirk, because and give them what they have known. Because we all have, as humans, we have something called a confirmation bias. See, what Charlie Kirk would do is he would confirm people's pre-existing biases because they hear when they come to America, oh, black Americans are just lazy, black Americans aren't qualified. So what Charlie Kirk would do is go deeper into this bias, and he would give confirmation bias to these people who don't know who we are. Okay, that's where his danger is. These people aren't just people out there in the world. For all you stupid motherfuckers like, man, we just got a difference of opinion. No, you dumb fuck. Hiring managers bought into that rhetoric. Police officers, teachers, CEOs, people that we have to interact with in this world believed in Charlie Kirk's rhetoric. If you feel the need to say you're only watching because somebody else ain't on, get the fuck out of here. Okay? But salute to the person. I hate people that come around saying faggot ass shit like that. I'm only with you because somebody else. Always trying to bring up division between black men. I don't like that. I don't want that kind of energy around me. Kick that nigga out of here, somebody in the chat. I don't like that kind of energy around me. I like black men that can say, I love this person and I love that person. If you're the kind of small-minded person that say, I only like you because they're not around, get the fuck away from me. I don't play that shit here. I don't play division between black men. I don't want you buying my merch. I don't want you coming to my shows. I don't want you giving me a like. I don't want hoe ass likes on my page. All right. So now let's get back in here. Yeah, right. That's some weird energy. I'm only watching you because somebody else. Shut the fuck up. All right, let's go back to it. So that's right, Artemis. Keep cooking. So with Charlie Kirk, he is somebody who his rhetoric goes into people's mind. He answers confirmation bias. People already have these biases towards us because that's what they're taught. According to according to people who've immigrated here, stories that they've said. If you ever listen to somebody who's immigrated here, they always say, well, when I came to America, this is what I was told. Chat room, press number 1 if you ever heard somebody say that. Press number 1, chat room, if you've heard somebody say that. That's from an immigrant background. This is what we're told. So remember this, because all of this shit works together. A lie needs to be repeated over and over and over again. The truth stands on its own. A lie needs to be repeated. So Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, all of these people help the lie continue. You hear me? You feel me? And that's their job, to continue the lie. So this isn't innocent. This isn't an innocent thing. This isn't just my opinion versus your opinion. 1, people believe what they hear. 2, they believe people who have access to a platform. There were millions and millions and millions. I think Turning Point, they said, was worth $80 million. Turning Point USA. So when a person has an elevated platform that has a lot of money backing it, even if you're not necessarily interested in the person, the fact that there's so much power and influence backing it, you're going to consider the words that they say. That's just human. So what he did wasn't innocent. It was not innocent. And so now that he's gone, we're seeing the fragility pop out. We're seeing how fragile these people are. Because now they don't want you, me, or we saying anything about him or about what he said. People are getting fired from work for just repeating what Charlie Kirk said. Question: if somebody says something important, isn't quoting that person honoring that person? We quote Abraham Lincoln all the time, 7 years ago, right? We quote greats all the time, right? So why is quoting this guy getting people fired while at the same time people are celebrating this guy? It's because the system is fragile. White supremacy is fragile. It's a very fragile system. And it's a house of cards. It's a house of cards that knows it's a house of cards. All right? That's the thing about it. White supremacy is a house of cards that is very, 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 very aware that it's a house of cards. So any threat, anything that puts it in the light and exposes it is a threat to its fragile structure. I want everybody to pay attention. Pay attention as I roll this blunt. Anything that goes this hard to stop you from talking is very self-aware of its fragility. It's like people. If you know somebody that has an insecurity, they don't necessarily want to talk about that insecurity because that insecurity brings up pain. We all have insecurities. I got insecurities. Y'all got insecurities. We all got insecurities. Insecurities are very, 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 very hard to talk about. That nigga said Snoop Doggy Dwann. Shut the fuck up. I'm over here listening to some Dizzy Gillespie and Oscar Peterson. Caravan. This is one of the greatest duos of all time. Just trumpet and piano. So much music just between trumpet and piano. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. I know everyone in here, y'all see it, but I want to. My job as media is to sometimes point out the obvious. Some things with us is so obvious, just as humans. Sometimes things can be so obvious, it's right there in your face, and you don't see it. It's right there in our face. The system is showing how fragile it is, down to getting people fired over their opinions over a freak like Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Brian, any culture built on materialism is fragile, right? And you got to remember, today's college kids are not yesterday's college kids. Today's college kids weren't raised in middle school with critical thinking classes. Civics was not a part of a lot of these kids' education. These kids were educated on Common Core math and standardized testing. So today's college kid is not a critical thinker. College kids in the 80s and the 90s were critical thinkers. College kids of today are not critical thinkers. Hell, if you're going to be 100, the best of the critical thinking youngsters today ain't in college. Some of them are, but the ones with the most critical thought these days, those cats aren't even in college. They critically thought about the debt college was going to cost them and the lack of jobs and said, you know what? I'm going to critically move my ass on to something different than college. So on college campuses today, you're not necessarily dealing with a league of critical thinkers. But back to what we're talking about as far as the fragility of the system. First part of this fragility, it's afraid to be questioned. Remember this, people. And this is how I left the church. I used to be very, very active in church. Those of you, y'all know, I used to be very, very active in church. When I stopped going to church, and this isn't for everybody. Look, I follow you. If you're part of any religion or something like that, keep doing what you do. Don't. I'm not here to diss religion at all. You got to move your faith at whatever pace you got to move your faith. Let me turn this shit down. When I left the church, when I stopped going to church, I went to church, played drums in church for almost 20 years. Was in church for 30. I asked myself one critical question about 10 years before I left church. I asked one critical question. I made one critical comment. I said, look, is this worth believing in? And I said, yeah, that was the answer. My next thing was, okay, anything that's worth believing in should stand up to question. You can question 2 plus 2 all day, and you're going to get 4 every single time. You can question if fire is hot. You're going to get burned if you touch it. You're supposed to question things. And it's okay saying that, you know what? I don't know this. It's okay to not know. But if you're going to walk around here acting like you know, it should stand the question. You dig? Flat Girl, you said you didn't know he was a semantic white supremacist. Yeah, I get it because he did talk about a lot of things other than white supremacy, but you got to be able to question it. And if it can't stand the question, it's not worth believing in. White supremacy as a system cannot stand to question. And if white Americans ever questioned the system, they wouldn't believe it in either because they see where they're getting shafted. White Americans are getting shafted by this system too, just to a lesser degree than we get shafted. You know? So you question these things. Yeah, just because white supremacy requires blind loyalty. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. It requires blind loyalty. So Well, white supremacy requiring blind loyalty. Those of us who are throwing Charlie Kirk's words in his mouth, that'll start making people ask other questions, especially to the level that they're celebrating. Pay attention, folks. Look at how the left and the right are coming together. The left ain't protecting nobody that the right is firing for talking about Charlie Kirk. As a matter of fact, the left is participating in some of these firings. NBC fired an anchor for talking about Charlie Kirk's death. And like Fly Girl just said in the chat, she just said that she put it together when he was shot. There are a lot of people who turned on Charlie Kirk because of what he was saying about, because what he said about the trans stuff, hey, a lot of people agree with. And I can't say I disagree with him. I agree with him on a lot of that stuff too. And depending on the point to where you entered listening to him, that could be your relationship with him. One of the main reasons why they're coming at us is because we're saying, no, 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 no. He was much more than talking about immigration and trans stuff. Sup, Todd Campbell, Monique Robinson. So those of us talking about his racism, we're bad for business. We're bad for business. Because what's the next step? After you talk about his racism, the next question is, okay, what made him racist? Hey, Scotty P, I have my fucking TV on, you degenerate. That obviously means my light bill is paid. Will my light bill not be paid if my TV wasn't on, you stupid fuck? And why in the hell do you want me to turn my light on so you can look at me? You a man. Shouldn't no man tune in and be like, I want to see how you look. No. Now, if a woman said, I want to see how you look, that'd be a little bit different. But you a grown-ass man. What the hell you want to see how another man look for? You better shut the fuck up and listen. Now, back to what we talking about. So, when we talk, we have to be silenced. Let's look at the next level, the next step of white supremacy's fragility. Look at the infighting that's going on right now. Look at the infighting that's going on right now. You see the infighting that was going on before his death between Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, those right-wing pundits. You got the Megyn Kelly and what's the other dude? Glenn Beck. And you just see these people going at one another. Down to the point to where, yeah, make sure you hit the like button. You see how they're fighting each other, down to the point to where, look at how much they're shooting each other. Look how violent it's getting, y'all. Someone almost peeled President Trump's cap back a few months ago. Remember that? I mean, last year. It was just last year President Trump almost got shot. Twice. Oh, yeah, Ben Shapiro, he's part of that bullshit. Yeah. Yeah, you got Officer Tatum versus Myron Gaines, two coon rat looking motherfuckers. Look at how hard they going at each other, y'all. Pay attention. Pay attention to this right wing. We ain't even talking about the left yet. Because the left, we haven't even got, think about how fake the left is, whether it be race politics or gay politics. You would think the left would defend people's right to voice their opinions on Charlie Kirk, considering all of the things Charlie Kirk said about immigration and LGBTQ. Pay attention. Pay attention. If the left really cared about LGBTQ and immigration and all this shit, why aren't they allowing people to voice their opinions? Stephen King had to delete his tweet. Y'all remember seeing that? Even Stephen King had to delete his tweet about Charlie Kirk. That motherfucker write horror films and he was scared. How the hell did the dude that write all these horror films and books get scared? They have to delete his tweet. Stephen King shouldn't be afraid of shit. Yes, he did. Stephen King had to delete his tweet about Charlie Kirk. What I'm trying to get y'all to see is this is no little thing. This is the system getting people on cold. This isn't a little thing. Yeah, they trying to cancel Charleston White. When Charleston White was talking about George Floyd, that wasn't the problem. Because Charleston White been on that Aiden Ross show. He done picked up a lot of white fans with Aiden Ross and them streamers. So pay attention. Pay attention. Do you see me? Do you see me? What's up, Nia Muhammad? So, oh yeah, South Park had to get in line. Yeah, this is white supremacy. White supremacy is reorganizing itself right in front of us. Think about it. Charlie Kirk was majorly responsible for getting Donald Trump put in office. The left has been telling us to hate Donald Trump, everything about him. Donald Trump's a racist. Does the left look like it cares about racism now? Why do all these white liberals talk so bad about Donald Trump's racism? But when it comes to Charlie Kirk, we're all supposed to shut up and act like that what he said was A-OK. Ask this question. Ask that question. This is how fragile the system of white supremacy is. It's a house of cards. So what are some solutions? We don't fight fire with fire. We get smart. We keep talking the way we're talking. You keep shining a light on it. That's what that's what Neely Fuller said. That's one of Neely Fuller's solutions. You at all times shine a light on it. If something doesn't like a light being shined on it, and what do? If there's an entity that you know hates you, that you know that there's an entity that's a system that's designed to take you out. No matter what city you're in right now, your city's being gentrified. Everyone in here who grew up in a black neighborhood, is your black neighborhood what it was when you grew up? 100% of y'all right now about to say no. That's called a national coordinated effort, displacing people of skin, with a darker skin, with a black skin tone, moving us around, disaggregating us, taking our jobs. So that system does not like being exposed. So what do you do in moments where you can expose the system? Do you be quiet and let it happen? Or do you expose it? I was at I was with my wife's family today when I was talking to one of her cousins about Charlie Kirk, and she was just saying like, that's why we just got to be quiet, and if we if we just act like it doesn't exist, it'll go away. No, 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 no. Not when you got people that are on the other side that are going to continually push and idolize him. They're about to try to make him a martyr. Charlie Kirk is like white folks' first martyr in a long time. They're not going to stop talking about him. We got to shine a light on it and expose it. Yeah, Passport King Atlanta, the quote-unquote black Mecca, is being gentrified right now, right? That's why I be tripping on people being like, man, come down to the South. I mean, this is a black Mecca. Man, y'all just facing the same gentrification we facing in LA. I'm good. I'm going to say right here, this good-ass weather. I've already adjusted to being around people who are non-black and how to deal with them. So I'm fine. I don't acknowledge their presence. They don't acknowledge mine. That's how we do it. Hell yeah. Do you love what your feels on right now? They don't have any righteous heroes, right? So, but pay attention to the violence within the movement. Do you know that the Graper movement that's headed by Nick Fuentes, they thought that Charlie Kirk wasn't extreme enough? Do y'all know that? The movement, this shooter was part of Nick Fuentes' group, the Graper movement, which, if you ask me, Nick Fuentes leads a terrorist organization. The Grapers should be seen as a terrorist organization. And Nick Fuentes has been going hard on Charlie Kirk over the last couple months. I'm hunting you down, pal. I mean, going hard on him because he wasn't extreme enough. Let's take it back a little bit further. Matter of fact, let's go back. Chat room. Y'all want to go down a historical ride? Let's go on a 50 on a 40 year 50 year historical journey. All right. Strap in your seatbelts. Put on your thinking cap. I'm not about to read the chat. I'm about to just talk. Because if I look at the chat, I will be distracted, and I don't want to get distracted taking you on this historical run. So if y'all could continue to type in the chat, but I will not be reading for a few minutes until I'm done with this run for y'all. All right. Okay, so we're going to go back to the We're going to go back to 1960 when Wallace lost to JFK. And then black people got civil rights legislation. That's when you saw the flip. Us go completely Democrat, and a lot of your Dixiecrats jumped to Republicans. A lot of your Democrats switched over to Republicans. And they found out during that time when Wallace lost to JFK, they could no longer just come out and say, nigger, 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 nigger. They were figuring that won't work. It doesn't play nationally. It plays in the South, but it no longer plays nationally. White supremacy is becoming much more polite. And white supremacy got a very polite, not very, it started to get polite in the 60s to where when you get to they stopped saying Negro. They stopped calling us Negroes. They called us black. We were Negroes before that. And white supremacists had to realize that it had to be nicer. So the Republicans, they got in office with Nixon, then Nixon got the Watergate scandal, got kicked out due to Watergate. And so what happened was during the 70s, during the Carter administration, white supremacy started to retool itself. It became less explicit, became more underground, more implicit. Urban renewal was no longer, they didn't come out and burn our towns down in the 70s. They just created something called urban renewal, to where it basically, urban renewal, anything that sounds good from white supremacy is really bad. So urban renewal sounds good, sounded about to renew some things. When we're at the end of the day, all it did was leave the hood destitute, and it created an environment for gangs to come and become more prominent because they had become a resource desert and become really in shambles. So white supremacy started to retool itself. 80s, you get Reagan and the Reaganomics. Reagan was very racist, but what Reagan did was he opened up the money in the economy. He changed taxes, and he made it to where money became access to credit became easier. Interest rates on CDs at the bank were 15, 16%. Money became open, but while it became open, white supremacy became more and more covert. They stopped calling you nigga. They never wanted to stop calling us nigga. They worse than Paul Mooney, saying nigga keeps their teeth white. But it realized if it wanted to keep business going, it had to become more covert. And the left and the right will play these good cop, bad cop games. The right will talk about how, they would talk bad about black people, but they wouldn't call us nigger. But they would still say and do things bad about us. The right would come in, the left would come in and say, no, you can't do that, big bad racist. Don't do that. So through the 80s and the 90s, white supremacy got more and more polite. And the America as a country went completely to the right during the Reagan administration, because the 70s was seen at a time that black people had too much freedom. Our music is taking off. We have funk, disco, jazz. Disco was a major threat to white supremacy because it was a black music that brought everybody together. Just like the hippie movement. Just like the hippie movement a decade before the disco movement. They brought together white people because America's very afraid of white people with good intentions. White people with good intentions get lynched too. Think of John Brown. White people with good intentions are face the same kind of hell and scrutiny as black people. That's how white supremacy stays in check, through resources and through violence. They're very violent towards white people who have a certain who showed they help black people a little bit too much. The system gets very violent around them, but it still has to be more covert. So Ronald Reagan takes the country all the way to the right. So in order for the Democrats to get back in office, because remember, America's seeing too much black progress, The 60s was the late 60s terrified America. Black people got rights for a generation. Remember, we only get rights for a generation or two. We got somewhat quote unquote rights, not all the way, but somewhat rights. And according to white people, we got all the rights. We know what happened, but to them, they think we got all the rights. And we're starting to get on TV more. We're dominating the NBA. Go back and listen to NBA history of the 1970s. When they talk about Magic and Bird coming in the 80s, it's because in the 70s, the league was too black. Niggas was fighting on the court. Rudy Tomjanovich got knocked out by Kermit Washington. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was decking white people between the nose. It got to be a bit too much. So in their white, they backed off, but they still couldn't be overtly racist. They couldn't be overtly racist as much as they wanted to. But now Clinton comes along. Clinton moved the Democrat Party to the right. And that's where you get the crime bill. That's where you get the Telecommunications Act. Bill Clinton in 93, 94 was basically a conservative what a Republican was in 71. That's what Bill Clinton was. He was a 70s Republican in the 90s. So he moved the Democratic Party to the right, and to where it started to become very punitive towards black people. But they still had to be nice. You still had to go on Arsenio and play the saxophone. You still had to come close to these niggas. Meanwhile, on the right, the Republican side, they're just not, they get really entangled with the Christian in the 80s and the 90s. The right gets very, very intertwined with the church and Christianity. And so instead of talking about race directly, they're more talking about God and all this other shit. They're just like, okay, if we can't, by the time the 90s and the 2000s come, the right is like, okay, if we can't call him nigga, we just ain't gonna talk about race overtly. We'll just talk about it in other ways. They started dismantling things, dismantling affirmative action, dismantling a lot of your welfare systems that they thought protected, helped black people, would ultimately only help white people more. So it started to get polite on one end. On the other end, you had the left wingers that they never agreed to not calling us nigga, but they know that they got to keep doing it in order to stay within the bounds of society. And then Obama gets in office. And just the image of somebody perceived as Black American being in that office, it set off something in the conservative right-wing side of white supremacy that they could not hold anymore. They couldn't hold it anymore. So the Tea Party came about. Press the #1 chat if you remember the Tea Party. The Tea Party comes. And the Tea Party pushes the right further right. They still ain't quite saying nigger. Fuck you, nigger. The Tea Party still ain't saying nigger. The Tea Party's calling Obama a Muslim. Muslim was a code word for nigger. Nigger. You nigger. So the Tea Party comes. And the Tea Party pushed us further right. They still ain't quite saying nigger. Then Trayvon Martin happens. Trayvon Martin happens. Black people, we've been asleep this whole time. Black people went to sleep in the 70s when we got good music and government jobs. We went to sleep. And that's not me just talking from a historical point. That's something my dad been telling me this shit since the late 80s and into the 90s. When that crack hit real hard in the South Central LA. I remember my dad always talking about 69, 68, 70. We was right there. But 71 hit, 72 hit, and we went to partying. We wasn't giving a fuck about none of that shit. Black America got, just because we've always been divided, we weren't even unified in the 60s. It was a handful of people fighting for our civil rights. Everyone else was fucking around. Same way it is now. We've always been divided. We trust and believe that. Remember, Dr. King became an enemy of black people. By 67, niggas was tired of Dr. King. And Dr. King, it was a major divide. Do you go Dr. King or do you go X? Dr. King was a punchline his last years of his life. We've always been divided. Let's not go back to a time that didn't exist. Because if we were unified back then, white supremacy would not have been able to continue to exist. We don't want to go back and paint roses on the past, which we all have a positivity bias on the past. So it's natural to throw lipstick on the pig of the past. But we weren't united back then. And so I saw a video on Ladera Heights where my parents, where we moved to when I turned my late teens, last year of high school. It was a unified and black then, but it was a video when the first class of black people that moved into Ladera and View Park in the 50s, into the 60s, into the early 60s, they were saying they don't want these new class of blacks moving in. You know, we have a different standard. We're aristocracy blacks. There's a there's a video, y'all can look it up. It's a video of the Ladera Heights blacks saying that they don't want the East Side blacks moving in. We've always been divided. Now, it wasn't like that when I moved to the View Park in the 90s. It wasn't like that then. By the 90s, LA niggas have realized, oh, yep. We all niggas. So Ladera wasn't like that in the 90s, but it was like that in the 60s. As a matter of fact, my two neighbors on both sides of us, they had moved in into the 60s, and they still kind of had that mindset when we moved in. My neighbor to the left owned a school, and my neighbor to the right owned like another kind of business. And when we moved in, my mom and my dad moved in there, but they both had jobs. They didn't own businesses. And I remember neighbors on both sides of us kind of looking down like, you guys are workers? But they were from that class of people from Ladera that moved in the 60s. So let's not go back to a time that didn't exist. You think of Samurai Show said ascot wearers, right? Right. But back to what I was saying about the progression. We stopped at the Tea Party. The Tea Party came in, and we as black people had to pay a price for Obama, and we got nothing from him. Obama cost us a whole lot. And at least the gay people said that they got marriages and they got reparations on back taxes from the years that they were denied being married. We didn't get anything but backlash. So the Tea Party hit, but then by the time 2012 came, the Tea Party 2013, it wasn't hitting like that no more. So then Trump came. 2015, Trump throw these motherfuckers all the way right. Because the Tea Party was no longer right enough. Tea Party was their right wing behavior was great in 2012. 2015, nope, not good enough. Then in comes the MAGA Republicans, the MAGA, and Charlie Kirk played a big role in the MAGA Republicans with the youngsters in the 20s, teens, 30s, because the dropout was rewarded. There were people with a lot of money that created an organization for him to run called Turning Point USA. Understand that these big money people know where their weaknesses are. And what a big part of their weakness in 2008 and 2012 was the Republican vote was very, 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 very old. And they concluded the reason why they lost 08 and 2012 was because they were too old. So they created outreach to youngsters. This is where Candace Owens starts to come up. This is where Charlie Kirk starts to come up. Ben Shapiro. We're now starting to see these voices become more prominent. These people had major, 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 major white money behind them. They didn't come out of nowhere. Bree, it's disturbing, but we gotta, like, I know this may be a little bit disturbing, but we gotta know this information so we can see so that we don't think that we crazy, so we can see how to fix it. So Charlie Kirk comes, Candace Owens, they've now made the Tea Party seem like humanitarians of the year with their MAGA right-wing bullshit. And so that role. Now you have a new class of white supremacists, the Goipers, the Nick Fuentes types, that believes Charlie Kirk and the MAGA Republicans are not right enough. And their belief is so deep, they're spilling blood on the streets. You can say whatever. You can believe that that person isn't the person that shot Trump. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy around the person that shot Charlie Kirk. There are people who believe that there is more to the story, and I agree that there's more to the story, but I'm not about to go taking no deep dives into it because I don't think that's it's just what can, at the end of the day, even if I knew, what the fuck can I do about it? So I don't think it's worth a deep dive. Landon said there's no progress without self-criticism. Damn right. And we black folks, we hella highly self-critical. These people, they're not self-critical. Yeah, Glenn Rice smashed Sarah Palin. That's what, when them white men found out that Sarah Palin smashed Glenn Rice back in the day, they took away all their support from her. So now you can get into the conspiracy behind what? Fact of the matter is, Charlie Kirk was murdered on camera. Donald Trump was shot in the ear on camera. Whoever you believe was behind it, whatever you believe behind it, hey, you're probably right. There is no one reason for any of this shit. All of it has multiple reasons. But one thing I will say is, especially in the case of Charlie Kirk, if they just wanted him dead, that could have easily been happened not on camera. Charlie Kirk got shot on camera for a reason. That was a message. So now these groups that keep going further and further right are starting to believe in that shit and enforce it with their blood. That's what's going on right now. But it shows again the fragility of the system. Because when you get to Charlie Kirk, no more being Mr. Nice Guy. MAGA, Dr. Not Dr. Donald Trump took the politeness gloves off. Right wing white supremacists put those gloves on involuntarily in the early 60s, and they never got comfortable. They never liked the gloves since day one. So with Trump getting in office, that took the gloves off to where now they can say and do whatever they want to do without fear of retribution and consequence. That's how they feeling right now. The ability to throw rocks, hide their hands. So one of the main ways we can harm this system is to continue to shed a light on it. Be smart. Don't talk about killing nobody. Don't talk about shooting nobody. None of that violent shit. Be smart and be measured. Allow this shit to allow. White supremacy is a cancer. Remember this about cancer. You cannot control what direction that shit gonna go. Cancer is one of those things where if you catch it early enough, you might have a shot at getting it removed. And so this system is a cancer. And at some point, cancer cannibalizes itself. Cancer eats its host. In order for cancer to survive, in order for a parasite to survive, it has to die. In order for cancer to live, it needs an alive body. Think about that. Cancer needs a body with life. A dead body's no good to cancer. It needs life. White supremacy is a cancer. One way that you inoculate this particular style of cancer is through shining light on it. That goes a long way. That's all you do is shine a light on it. Oop, there go the cancer. The difference is for us, you allow it to take its natural course and cannibalize itself. Question, chat. If you're walking across a dry bed, it's dry, hell, the mud's even cracked because it ain't seen water in so long. What happens when the water starts to come down at and it starts to rage? Do you stay there or do you go on to the side of the banks, let the water flow through? Do you actively try to alter the course of nature is the question I'm asking. The answer is no. So since this system is a cancer that cannibalizes itself, allow it to do that way. Do that. Step back. Go to, you know, let it happen. O'Brien Tucker says, word of the night, meritorious main mission. Right. That's right. Just because flash flood, you get the fuck out the way. Rocky over here snoring. Yeah, Rocky been sitting here the whole time, knocked out. Look at Rocky. Rocky look at me like, you turn the light on, for? Rocky like, why you turn the light on? Rocky, you good? All right, turn the light back off. Rocky been over here snoring his ass off. This whole time, he ain't moved. That's right, Bree. Now I'm gonna start back looking at the chat again. I had to take my eyes off the chat to take you guys down that line since the 60s of when it got quiet and now needing to open back up. It's open back up now. And now, not only did it open back up, the next step is the left is going to help play a role in making sure that it stays open by punishing those of us that question it. And Charlie Kirk is iconic to their society. He represents somebody that is what they've always wanted to do, and that's be open with their white supremacy. They want to be open with their white supremacy while still practicing their white supremacy. And they don't, but the thing is, they don't want us to say anything about it because they're so fragile. They want to live like this. And again, this isn't every white person. This is the powers that control how this country runs. That's what we're talking about. And those who willingly participate in it. The power structure, that's who we're addressing is at. We're addressing the power structure and the power structure's willing participants. Amir said fart. Hell nah, Rocky. Don't tell Rocky to fart. That nigga be dropping some bombs. Yes, Monique, they want us to go along with it. So Charlie Kirk, he's an icon to them. He's the person that represents being open with their white supremacist viewpoints and getting away with it, which is what they want. That's where they at with it right now. Make sure y'all hit the like button. And when I leave, come back and leave a comment. We had a lot of bots in here today, so y'all have to come back and hit the like button. So that's where we at with it right now. He represents the type of person they all want to be. That's to as many unverified white supremacist non-facts as possible without being questioned. So it's on us to continue to talk about it, talk about people like them, like him. He said, answer all your questions from your conscience. Yeah, Yeah. I try to be thorough when I speak to y'all. That's why, again, I don't throw out statistics and stuff. I know how statistics work, and statistics are the language of the deceiver. People don't understand that. Statistics are the language of the deceiver. If you're really down for learning, numbers ain't gonna teach you nothing. Not unless we talking numbers. We ain't talking numbers. Charlie Kirk threw numbers out there because he was a deceiver. It's like this song right here by Tower of Power. Y'all ever hear social lubrication? Everybody's got their own way to get high. Social lubrication is what Charlie Kirk provided. It's crazy this song is, come on. This song's about people all find their own way to get high on their own bullshit. Like when you listen to the bridge, everybody's got their own way. Everybody got their own way to get high. That's the song's about by Tower Power. Everybody got their own way to get high. Social lubrication. And part of the social lubrication of America, people get high off talking about how better they are than black Americans. Black society is this, black people that, black people that. Y'all ever notice? We can never just be left alone. People always want to compare their shit from us. That's part of the social lubrication of America. It's the shit on black people. It gives people time to abdicate themselves from their responsibilities. It removes people's attention from their own problems. And no matter what people are going through, you got people, like they say, people from India that are in America have the highest domestic violence rates in America. And it's not close. It's like their domestic violence rates are like in the 30s and 40% range for the areas that report. But you'll have a person of India, America, own a 7-Eleven and say, I saw a video, O'Shea Duke Jackson earlier, with it's some Indian guy in Raleigh, North Carolina, wouldn't let a black man use the bathroom, and he said it because he's black. And of course, O'Shea is I like O'Shea Duke Jackson. I do, so I'm not going to criticize him totally. But sometimes he can get off onto a soapbox and be all the way wrong. He said it's because we don't own our neighborhood. We don't own what's in our neighborhood. That's not why these people disrespect us, even though that's what they say. They disrespect us because they don't respect black people at home. People from India do not respect Dravidians down there in India. They don't respect dark-skinned people, period. Now, they may give the excuses because you don't own your neighborhood. That's just an excuse. They were taught from the day they were born not to like people that are dark. And when they came to America, they were taught not to not trust us. It ain't because they have a liquor store. It's because the social lubrication of America is to make sure that no matter how bad my life is, no matter how many layoffs I face, I'm still doing better than them niggas. So their own way. Everybody got their own way. Everybody's got their own way to get high. Some people get high with drugs. Some people get high with gossip. Some people get high with superiority complex. Everybody got their own way to get high. So just understand that. Just understand that. What's the infamous Eli, Donnie Williams? Welcome, y'all. Landon, welcome, welcome, welcome. Unique Organics Hair Care. That's what it is, okay? And now Charlie Kirk is seen as not extreme enough by Nick Fuentes and his group. Look at how much they're fighting each other. You got the white supremacist president that you wanted in office and you kill his boy? That's right, Donnie Williams. Everybody sat down. Black folks don't jump in this fight. They shooting at each other, having rallies. Now they got a whole new word: political violence. The right wing still don't. They're going at the left wing, but for the most, those are the extremists going at the left wing. Everyone else is coming to the middle with this political violence thing. So that's what they're doing. As soon as Charlie Kirk was murdered, the first thing they talked about was war. Let them have it. Because here's the good news, y'all. Even during the Civil War, only 6 to 8% of America, some estimates go as high as 10%, participated in the Civil War. In spite of what they may try to make you believe, the whole country was not at war. Only less than 10% were actually participating. Do y'all know that Wall Street never stopped one day of trading during the Civil War? The South kept trading. What's up, Nandy J? The South kept trading with the North during the Civil War. Business did not stop. 90% of Americans were going about their life as usual. 9 out of 10. We were going to work, going to the horse races on the weekend. If you participate, that's because you chose to. My recommendation is to disengage. Don't fight nobody. Let them fight each other. Let them fight each other. There's nothing you can do to help. Matter of fact, they don't even want your help. Now the liberals will come ask for your help. The liberals, they'll come ask for your help. Then have you do all the work and give you none of the credit or glory at the end when it's all over with. Stay out of it. Yeah. Yeah, the CK guy, they're so obsessed about black people, never spent a moment around us. Let's just watch Negroes like Officer Tatum and Candace Owens crash out. And let's get back to cultivating our skills, y'all. All right? Rocky over here chilling. You good, Rocky? You good, Rocky? Rocky over here like, yeah, I'm over here minding my own black ass business. What up, Lou? Missed it in the chat. Cedric Bell in the chat. You're right, Bruce. Their feud is giving us a break. But look, they're not. Look, they're not. Look, they're gonna have their feud and still focus on us, Bruce. It's not that they're not focusing on us. Look at when I was listening to Megan Kelly the other day. I was listening to her the day Charlie Kirk died, so I can see her reaction. Plus, I wanted to see her reaction when she got the news, just so I could laugh at her crying. Wasn't laughing at him dying, but I was most definitely laughing at Megan Kelly crying. That shit felt good to watch her cry, even though her tears are fake. I believe. I think that they're fake tears, but it still gave me satisfaction nonetheless. But her and Glenn Beck, the day Charlie Kirk got shot, I was watching that show before it was confirmed that he died. Glenn Beck talked about walking through Washington, D.C., and y'all that was here watching that show, y'all remember? He was walking through Washington, D.C., and some big black guy looked at him and said, I'm going to kill myself a white boy. Niggas don't even talk like that. He obviously wasn't killed nor shot at. But while they were talking about this potential shooter, they still had time to talk about, and I believe that story was made up. I don't think he was serious. I don't think that niggas don't go around talking about I'm gonna kill myself a white boy. Most of them niggas, especially niggas that be thugs, niggas that's from the streets, them former street niggas, man, a lot of them niggas be cooning their ass off. They see a white person and turn giddy. Not all, but too many. A lot of them prison niggas, them niggas fall in line when they see a white boy. Y'all see how that works? Talking about a mythological black person while his boy got shot by another white person. You good, Rocky? You good, Rocky? Man, this nigga Rocky over here laid out. Watch this. You good, Rocky? Rocky back. Rocky like, this nigga sleeping like he pay bills around here. nigga really sleeping like he pay bills around here. This nigga is knocked the fuck out. We about to have to go for a little walk, homeboy. You gotta shit one more time before the night's over with. What's up, Star? But am I making sense, y'all? This is a very fragile system. Rocky 4. Hey man, shit, my apartment that I run, I require a deposit if you got a pet. Now, I didn't charge myself a deposit for Rocky, but if any of y'all want to move in one of my apartments, hell yeah, you're gonna have a goddamn deposit. Yeah. Oh, you hear Rocky snoring? So we got to understand that these people have the infighting is what they've always done. They generally only have brief moments of peace. Infighting, but is what they do. Now, the reason why I say stick back is because our mistake is we forget that they know how to infight and deal with us at the same time. Don't never forget that. John Bird shot Alexander Hamilton and white supremacy kept moving. All right? Abraham Lincoln got killed at the Ford Theater. White supremacy kept moving. Garfield died. White supremacy kept moving. McKinley got killed at the World's Fair. White supremacy kept moving. Them being violent towards one another. I realized McKinley was killed at the World Fair, dog. Hinckley shot Reagan. JFK was killed. RFK. Understand this. The time between Robert Kennedy getting killed, or let's say JFK, because Robert Kennedy he wasn't elected yet. He was running. The time between JFK and now is the longest period in this country without political violence. Understand that. As long as this country's ever gone without somebody major in politics being killed 60 years. So don't think that just because they're fighting, we're free. No. This is time for you to grow within, network, tighten your shit up. All right? Yeah, bro. Yeah, I broke down Reagan get shot the last show. He got shot by President Bush's cousin, Hinckley. President Bush and Obama's cousin Hinckley is the one that shot Reagan. Allegedly. You good, Rocky? Yeah, we can talk about John Brown one of these days. But I wanted to get y'all up on that. I'll be back with y'all probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow I'll be back with y'all. Yeah, while they over here dilly dallying around with each other, sharpen your skills up, people. Sharpen your shit up. All right. Got some Frankie Beverly on. Remember this. They took our music from us because it meant something. Love is the key. Frankie Beverly told y'all what it is. Love is the key. If you really want to be free, love is the key. I mean, love yourself so much that you won't take nobody else's bullshit. That's where we get the love part. Love yourself so much that you stand up for yourself. Rocky done woke up. Yep, if you really want to be free, love is the key. All right, y'all. Any questions? Oh yeah, Rocky getting the oh shit. Rocky up rubbing his nuts. Look at him looking at me. That's why Rocky, you a real nigga. You rubbing your nuts like you own this motherfucker. Hey Rocky, come on Rocky, you just gonna sit there. This, Rocky, this is doggy jack off right here. Rocky, you just gonna sit there and just rub your nuts? Come on, Rocky. Yeah, you just gonna sit there, huh? This nigga Rocky be doing. Nigga waking up and he's scratching his nuts on my couch. Like he running shit around here. You sleeping like you run shit. Then he's gonna have the nerve to wake up and start scratching your nuts on my couch. Yeah. Alright, I got you. I got you, homie. Rocky ain't shit. Rocky ain't shit, man. I'll holler at y'all.